So apparently Christmas has come early for Mets fans, and their brand new GM Billy Epler is Santa Claus because last night he delivered 3 shiny new gifts for the Mets fan base: Starling, Marte, Eduardo, Escobar, and Canha. We're going to go ahead and break down each of those signings and what it means for the future of the Mets, but we'll do that in just a moment because as I sat down to record, a breaking trade happened. I mean, I can't believe that this is even a thing, especially because I'm home and here to report it, so I could not be happier. But breaking: Adam Frazier, who the Padres acquired not too long ago at the trade deadline of the 2021 season, he is now heading to the Seattle Mariners in exchange for 2 young prospects. We have Ray Kerr, a left-handed pitcher that throws 100 plus miles an hour, and a young stud in Corey Rozier, but we'll talk about them in just a moment because the main player, in my opinion, is the 29-year-old super utility switch hitter who plays amazing defense, Adam Frazier, who is now going to the Seattle Mariners. And to me, I feel like he has the same story as Joey Gallo. So we know Joey Gallo, he was an on-base god and he was playing amazing defense and hitting for power for the Rangers, and he went to the Yankees. He still did that, but at a much lesser pace. He was getting on like at a 320 on base percentage instead of 370, 380, and the same goes for Adam Frazier. He was hitting 300, but then he was hitting 270. He was getting on base like 38% of the time, and then he was getting on base 31% of the time. So I still think that Adam Frazier has a lot of gas left in the tank, and especially considering his defense, I feel like he is going to be a solid contributor for the Mariners. The Mariners, they overperformed in 2021. They have a loaded farm system, and I really feel like they can make some noise, and they are understanding that the Astros, they might be able to be had, especially if they lose Carlos Correa in free agency. So I really like this trade for Adam Frazier. Again, he's 29 years old. He's still in that prime age range. Maybe he's at the tail end of it, but I still think that he is going to be very productive. Now, in terms of what the Padres are losing, of course, they lose their super utility guy, but to me, they're still going to make a few other signings or trades because that's what their GM does. I think his name is Preller, AJ Preller. He is a maniac, but the Padres, they get Ray Kerr, who is a young guy who throws 100 plus miles per hour from the left side. He is a stud. Now, speaking of studs, they also got Corey Rozier. Mariners fans are kind of thinking to themselves, why are we trading this guy? He is a monster. He almost hit 431 A-ball games. Now, take it with a grain of salt. Hitting 380 with the 171 WRC plus and rookie ball. It's still good, but it's rookie ball. He had 14 extra base hits and 13 stolen bases. So he's got good speed. He's got gap-to-gap power. He's probably going to be pretty good, but it's going to take a few years for him to be ready and be called up to the big leagues. And the Mariners, they want to win right now. So it's a solid move for both teams. They're both thinking about the future as well as what can we do right now. And the Padres, they don't need Adam Frazier right now. I'm just going to keep it real. He was not good for them. So let me know in the comment section down below what you make of this trade. Adam Frazier going to the Mariners in exchange for Ray Kerr and Corey Rozier. Again, my overall opinion on it is both teams, it's a W. I don't think anyone loses this, but just like the Mets, we'll talk about them later, Padres and the Mariners, they cannot be done yet. All right, let's go ahead and talk about a few smaller signings before we get into the big boys from last night. We have the Red Sox inking Michael Wacha to a 1-year, $7 million deal. A lot of people are saying the Red Sox overpaid for him, but if we take a look at Michael Wacha as a pitcher overall, his first 750 innings in the big leagues were fantastic. He had a 3.77 ERA and a 3.68 FIP. Both of those are pretty respectable, but the last 3 seasons, they have been rough to him, I'm not going to lie. Combined, he has a +5 ERA and FIP. Again, his ERA over 2021 was above 5, but his FIP wasn't horrible, and he was really good against the Yankees. In 22 innings, he only allowed 4 earned runs, so I feel like the Red Sox did this to spite New York. They are literally going after him because he seems to play better against the Yankees, and I think that's all that there is to this move. Moving on over to Yoshi Tsutsugo, he is re-signing with the Pirates for $4 million. He did so on his 30th birthday, and he was a monster for the Pirates, smacking 8 home runs with 25 RBIs and a near 140 OPS plus in 43 games, so he was really good. Those were the smaller signings, and I think without further ado, we can go ahead and jump straight into the Mets signings. First and foremost, we have Eduardo Escobar. He is going to the Mets for the next 2 seasons for about $10 million a year. Now, I'm going to describe each of these 3 players with one word. Eduardo Escobar, his word is going to be versatile. He plays every single position really aside from catcher, and he is a switch hitter. So he's versatile in the box and in the field. Now he is aging. All of the guys that the Mets signed are now going to be 33 years old and older in the 2022 season. So that's the only risk with these three signings. They're kind of old, but they didn't sign the longest contracts. It's not like Starling Marte is going to be there until he's 45 years old, but we'll talk about Marte in just a moment. And one more thing about Eduardo Escobar is even though he's not going to hit 50 home runs, he's really good at finding the gap, and he can turn doubles into triples, and he's going to get you anywhere from 50 to 60 extra base hits with solid run production. Again, he's going to be 33 years old, but that hasn't stopped him from almost having a 10 F4 since 2018, which is pretty good. Now, Mark Canha, he's been even better since 2018. He has a combined 10.4 F4, which is really good. He is signed for the next 2 years with a third-year option, but he's going to be making around $27 million over the next 2 years. My one word for him is Moneyball. The reason why? Roll it.
He walks a lot.
He gets on base a lot. Rocco, do I care if it's a walk or a hit? Pete?
You do not.
I do not.
Mark Canha gets on base. Over the last 450 games, he has a near 370 on base percentage. So yes, he's not going to hit you 45 home runs just like Eduardo Escobar, but he's versatile. He can play every single outfield spot and first base. So maybe Pete Alonso needs a day off. They can plug him in at first base. Maybe Dominic Smith is going to be the DH going forward. We'll talk about that more in depth in just a moment. But Mark Canha and Eduardo Escobar, they provide the Mets versatility and veteran leadership. And I just really like Mark Canha as a player. But my favorite signing from yesterday and today even, but my favorite kind of transaction from both yesterday and today, even more than the Adam Frazier trade, Starling Marte going to the Mets for the next 4 seasons for 78 million buckaroos. And the one word that I would use to describe Starling Marte is the word that I would describe Justin Verlander: wine, because he is aging like it. He continues to get better with age. He ended 2021 with a .310 batting average and a .383 on base percentage. Ultimately, he finished the season with an insane 132 OPS plus. Again, for a guy that's going to be 34 years old, you should not be able to steal 47 out of 52 stolen base attempts and still play solid defense. So again, he just seems to be so athletic that even when he's aging gracefully. And he has a combined 13.4 F4 since 2018, which makes him elite in my opinion. And maybe the biggest perspective to keep in mind is they stole him from the Phillies. The Phillies were probably the other team along with the Giants as the 2 top suitors to go and acquire the services of Starling Marte, and the Mets said nope. And I don't know if Uncle Steve, the owner of the Mets, Steve Cohen, was just upset at Steven Matz and his agent because they pinky promised that they would sign with the Mets, and then they went to the Cardinals, and I'm pretty sure Mr. Cohen, he called the front office and he said, hey, fire everything, go grab every single free agent that we can. Maybe this means that John Gray and Marcus Stroman are next, but 3 more takeaways, at least in my opinion. I like these moves. Now, again, this does disprove a little bit that the players just do not want to go play for the Mets because they're dysfunctional. It's the New York Mets. Of course, people are going to want to play with them, and now that they're offering some pretty solid and fair contracts, maybe Eduardo Escobar, a lot of people are saying that he got overpaid just like Michael Wacha, but he provides a lot of value. He's going to replace Jonathan Villar. But what else does this mean for the Mets? This means that Michael Conforto and JD Davis, their tenure as a New York Met is most likely done. Conforto, he wants $120+ million over the next few seasons, and the Mets, between these 3 guys over the next 2 to 4 years, Marte, of course, signed for 4, Mark Canha can be there for 3, and Eduardo Escobar is going to get $20 million over the next 2 seasons, but that means that they only paid $124 million for 3 players. They complete their outfield with Brandon Nimmo, and Eduardo Escobar can play any infield position that you need him to. So this buys them versatility and allows Conforto and JD Davis to walk or be traded. I mean, of course, JD Davis really, he had a solid season a few years ago, and he wasn't the best in 2021, and neither was Michael Conforto, although Michael Conforto, he did finish the season strong. And again, this all but confirms that the DH is coming to the National League in 2022. So Dominic Smith, he's no longer going to have to play left field. Brandon Nimmo can play center field, and you have Mark Canha in right field with, probably Starling Marte in either left or center field. So to me, me, this is a big-time win for the Mets, and I don't think that they're done just yet. I don't believe that the Padres are done. I don't believe that the Mariners are done. All three of these teams are going to be active and ready to make a push for a playoff spot, if not the World Series in 2022. The Padres, they showed a few weaknesses that I just didn't like. They kind of folded to end the season, but they're back in business, making trades, trying to get better, at least in terms of the long term, so they're understanding they can win now if they stay healthy, and they're focusing on the future, as well as the Mariners with that loaded farm system acquiring Adam Frazier. And then the Mets, they grabbed Marte, Canha, Eduardo, Escobar, and Starling Marte. The risk is that they're all 33 years old, going on 34 in 2022, so good thing they didn't sign them to 10-year contracts. But that does it for today's MLB recap. We talked about a lot, so if you're into this sort of thing, talking baseball and not really wasting your entire day reading articles, this is the best place to be. Make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe if you did enjoy a little random clip from MLB history.
It's like fastball. 3-2 pitch. Curveball belted deep to left field, and Alex Rodriguez has #1 in the show. And it is 8-4. He came back with a breaking ball, a curveball, and Alex